Okay, so welcome everybody and hello, we're back after lunch. I'm going to put an eye onto this portrait hopefully, and it's the side profile. So what we're seeing is, well, mostly this eye. There is a little flash of that eye available to see as well over there, but when the eye is turned to the side. Oh yeah, and Chris, you can carry on as well if you want to. Yeah, oh very good. Okay. Yeah, so it's probably kind of this eye that I'll focus on mostly, I would say, and finding the position of the shadow within there is kind of the first step, I suppose, really locating the shape of the shadows rather than feeling like I'm painting an eye, but to begin by finding first there's a triangle of a fairly dark colour here that sits in front of the eye, and then there's a deep tone as well where the eyelid meets the socket of the eye there, and I'm looking, as well as placing that, I'm kind of looking at the shape of the skin between the two, and of course this will be slightly darker here as well. Let's just see now what I'm up to. And leaning back every so often feels like it's even just creating a bit of distance, allows me to see the eye as it sits in the whole out of the face. And I feel like I want to lift it, to bring it down even a tiny bit. Although that's the back that I'm kind of confusing myself there, because that shadow isn't the line of the eyelashes. That shadow is the wrinkle where the skin meets the socket of the eye, is what that is. So I'm going to put in the eyelash line before I decide whether it's too high or too low. And with the eyelash line, if I was to continue it, it would go across and follow the line of the eyebrow on the other side almost. So as well as looking at the other eyebrow to place it, I'm looking at it on its own too, and seeing where it cuts through the curve and the bridge of the nose, even that line. So a lot of this isn't about painting an eye really. For me, it's finding the angle and the length of that line and how it relates to other parts of the face. Okay, so I put a touch more of the ultramarine blue into it there, and now I'm going to continue the line of the upper eyelid line, upper eyelash, to carry it on there. I'm just going to see then when I stand back if it sits comfortably in that space. I think it's all right. Feels like this needs to come down a touch more there. And then the thing of finding the, you see that's a little bit wide there. Now it's going to be, I'm working against myself using that as a tool to describe the lower lash line, because it's too wide. I'd have to lift a bit off at the end. So I'm using the 1/4 inch brush instead, which there will allow me to just push up and lift, and that'll be it, hopefully. So pushing up and lifting is the plan. And I'm making a colour here. I want it to be dark enough, but still fluid enough that the brush isn't separating at the edge. And maybe before, let's see, I think if I do a dark line there, got myself a bit mixed up there. I'm gonna okay, so I'm just going to make it a bit finer again, that line, and now pushing up and lifting. So the lower eyelash line is a little bit higher than halfway up the bridge of the nose, and it's actually parallel with this part of the eyebrow. So just push and lift, and there's some to lift off there as well by the looks of things. You know, I could lift off, so the lower the lower edge of that isn't helping me. It's the upper edge that I want to be clear. The lower edge I want to be looser so that it undulates around the eyelid there. So I'll just let the water, the dampness of what's on the brush is dissipating the edge out here a little bit. And now I might use some of the dark that I've put in for the eyelash line there and let it run down to form the shape of the iris. Did that run down on its own there? It's kind of interesting. Okay. And it might be helpful to do something in the other. So directly across from this shadow here, it seems to be where the eyelashes are extending on the other side of the face there. Let's see if that reads. Okay, it's fine, but it's a little bit dark, I think. I feel like the position is okay, but maybe it doesn't have to have that much colour in it at all. Let me just, yeah, okay, it's all right. Okay, and it seems to me like there's something there that could be slightly shifted. And the eye on the other side can have a little bit more to it than just that leg of eyelash, just some sort of, you can get away with a lot as long as it's meeting the bridge of the nose and the nose is lighter than it. I think it's better if it's more subdued and nondescript than having a fierce detailed eye on the other side that's just drawing attention, because in actual fact I can't really see what's happening beyond the nose there, aside from the fact that it's a little bit darker and there's something to do with the eye there. And then just maybe a little bit of warmth to describe the underside of the nose. Yeah, I want to do some little bit more in the eye itself there. So a bit with regard to colour, like I was saying yesterday, it's kind of helpful to have colour distinguishing parts from each other around the area of the eye. And we could do a little bit more to that iris as well, I'd imagine, so that it's coming up. Like we kind of know from the side that the iris is going to be maybe a little bit like that kind of a shape, where it's going to be covered by the eyelid a little bit. Some of the iris will be covered by the eyelid. So it's going to maybe, rather than being circular, and I can't really see it, but I kind of know that that's the case. So I know roughly the shape that I want the dark to be. I don't know if you can see it here at all. Oh, Priscilla, the lights aren't on. The lights in the ceiling aren't on. Are you finding it really dark over there, Priscilla?
No, all right.
Ah.
Do you want to put them on?
It's okay for me actually. As long, can you see all right?
Natural light's nice, isn't it? You can get.
You might need to turn it on, but it was on all morning, all right. Like, but it's we can do it later on. So it's just something of where it enters into the lid, and then it kind of makes me want to find something a bit more of a mid-tone. A bit clear up the mid-tone a little bit more, so that the light on the eyelid is really revealed. Maybe a touch of the cadmium red so that it's setting apart the inner corner of the eye a little bit more. Oh. Yeah, I'm sure when you're bringing in things, okay, when you're bringing in parts of the, I was trying to figure out the time there, sorry. I don't think my alarm's gonna, I think it may be just about time now. That might have been 20 minutes. But when you're putting colour in the area of the eye, it's no harm then to see where else could there be some skin colour brought in, just around the place to bring up. It almost causes you to kind of push forward other parts of the image as well, when there's contrast made in one area. Just a little bit of the lip going around the face there. Could have a little bit more warmth to it maybe. Yeah. And then finally the carving in so that there's a triangle of space between the lips from this viewpoint. So I'm going to just carve that back in there. There's a risk that it might run into that shape, but really I just want to emphasize that pulling back of the lip and finding the clear shape of it on the side there. And maybe as well, just because it's all become a bit darker up there, I can now emphasize a tiny bit more of the shadow that's under the lower lip again. And it might not be all of it, but even just locating the backward pull of that, just a touch, and a touch somewhere else of the same depth of tone somewhere else, and maybe a little bit more on that side of that eye there. And then we could also do something there, and we could get a big brush then and you know, become a bit more bold again somewhere else. That thing of expanding out again. And sometimes it might work, and sometimes it doesn't work to do the thing that you want on the picture, but it does something to you, and that's enough. Okay, thanks very much for your attention. I think that's 20 minutes. Thanks, Claire. Brilliant. Thank you. Our lovely model is Claire. All the best. Oh no, it was only 12.